You don't, how many masterminds, like there's no empirical evidence that a mastermind does anything other than give you a sugar high.
Wow.
You just go in and mentally masturbate your ideas for a bit and then leave.
Yeah.
These guys talk about like, I've grown, I'm the millionaire coach, and and here's one of the most successful online marketers alive today. He's not doing any of this stuff. I mean, he doesn't represent the whole, but a lot of the top guys aren't doing any of that stuff, right? Like you're not going to a mastermind and suddenly being like, oh my God,
But
it's like
these guys, whether it's business, they make it seem so complicated that then you go and pay them that this guy knows the answer. What do you feel about that? Because you've been in masterminds, you paid for stuff.
Yeah, and you were doing like supplements as well, right? Like that was your that was after the stuff.
Supplements. Yeah, we made supplements. I mean, I'll say right now, like when I transitioned, so when I went from the seduction world into the fitness aspect, I honestly thought it was going to be much less icky, right?
No, dude, no.
Wrong. Oh my God, the guy who scares women and is selling that, like that guy, he's got issues, but he's being a lot less ickier.
Yeah. The weight loss gurus have been crazy for a long time. They've been some wild weight loss gurus.
It's just, and I think the problem is with a lot of the direct marketing side of it, is it's formulaic deliverables. Like it's maybe the deliverable has some decent exercise tips in it. I mean, the PDF files that have been passed around and everything, that's all the same, but they sell it with like these supernatural claims.
Yeah.
To people who are the people who are buying it, they're not really, they obviously want that quick fix because they don't want the other fix. So it's an easy kind of sell in a sense. I don't follow some people like, oh, they're really stupid. Like, I don't really follow that they're dumb. They're just in a way like desperate for something to work, and a lot of them are scared to walk into a gym, but they complicate it with the secrets and the this and the that, and it's got to be this supplement, and you need to get your 30 seconds of rest, and you got to have this, and there's no real programming to it. And the funny thing is going in, even on top of that world, I'll add this, that kind of myself being stuck into like the why the gurus things is people love, like, even though it's sold as simple, it's like it's just more complication and more noise. Like you don't, how many masterminds, like there's no empirical evidence that a mastermind does anything other than give you a sugar high.
Wow.
You just go in and mentally masturbate your ideas for a bit and then leave.
Even a Sam Ovens? You're saying a Sam Ovens mastermind, not worth the money, you're saying.
Right.
You're saying TBD. Forget it.
Like I don't, like the other thing is I look at is like how many super successful people have never even gone to one of these things. It's probably the majority.
Yeah.
Have never gone to one. So I think these things like, I need a routine, I need this. So they start mistaking this stuff for doing the work. When they need to just, instead of handing over agency to, I need just one more sales course to learn how to sell, and I got to get one more goal mastermind to take me to the next level, and I got to get one more event to the network. It's like, just start working on your product. And you got to figure out a bit in your own. I'm not saying you got to stop learning, but you can't just like, there's these guys complicate things. Guys like Jason Capital or something, they're just selling recycled, rehashed buzzwords. You can find, like, go to the airport. If you want to go get buzzwords, go to the airport bookstore, look up some business books like start with yes, and the perfect day. Like, I don't want the perfect day. Like how boring would that be? It's 7:01, time to do my breathing. Like, get out of here.
It's sales church.
I think it's a lot of like, I don't think these people are well intended getting it, but they're complicating their lives, chasing down work they don't need to be doing. When they can probably they gotta be starting learning on their own. I mean, obviously there's things that are going to help, but it just gets this wild complication of like, you need this and you need that. And I started asking, like, well, how many success, like coming from the car business, like one of my dad's best friends, his net worth might now be billionaire. He's not doing any of this stuff of like, just wake up early and like set your day. And, like he finds out the structure that works and he's just running it. And he's willing to experiment a little bit here and there outside the box, but just keep running the system. So I think a lot of these things, it's just like, PUA, fitness, and especially on top of the guru stuff of routines and goals and success and copywriting, they're just selling you like what sounds simple, but it's just more complication together.
It is interesting that distraction. Like, I don't need I don't need a daddy. Right. Like, wake up at 8. Come on, just give me the sales stuff, dude. How do I find a client? You gotta wake up at 8 a.m.
And I think there's an element of like, if you're not going back in my copy career, because I can hear like people saying now, like the guy spent $400,000 a year on it, right? But when I was my most successful at it, I wasn't doing any of this stuff. Like, yes, I had courses and stuff, but I was doing a lot of my own. And then the guy I worked with, Kyle, like he's not doing all these wild, crazy routines. He despises masterminds. He thinks they're a huge waste of time because they don't know, and he's right. Like, and here's one of the most successful online marketers alive today. He's not doing any of this stuff. And he doesn't represent the whole, but a lot of the top guys aren't doing any of that stuff, right? Like, you're not going to a mastermind and suddenly being like, oh my God, it's like Mike Geary's here at the, how to wake up and have a perfect day mastermind. Like, he's not. Like, Gary's doing what he wants to do. Like, there's an element of self-motivation, and I think people need to, like, if you're having troubles like getting into work or working out, like, you got to get motivated and make a routine. It's not, no guru is gonna like, I'm gonna suddenly turn you into a motivated, monster. So I think there's a lot of,
that's the Becker's he's in there no fap. They're all doing no fap now. No dopamine even. He's saying dopamine detox because then I'll get more work done. Yeah.
I don't think Genghis Khan ever worried about that.
Good point.
When he was conquering the world.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, hey, no fap, guys.
No.
I mean, he's basically, the guy is
we had an attack in the morning. So it's
right. I mean, didn't he sired like aren't we all basically like descendants of Genghis Khan?
Yeah. No, I think people today are on on like internet porn. Like, they're getting like Genghis Khan numbers though. In the porn I'm talking about. Like, there's people that
I can understand if you're addicted to porn, you probably need something, but I think it's a
right. I think Sam Ovens might even get into that. He's so sophisticated, so tight, but I mean, I think he definitely has like a development week, and they get into these, like, I guess it's law of attraction stuff. Like, do you ever use that stuff? I mean, the way they teach to write the ads, like the supplements that you had, let's say, or even the dating stuff. Like, did you have that formula of like everything's got to be super easy and then take all the work away and then they buy, or did you feel like you were always selling stuff that was like legit, like the supplements, you were happy with selling them? Or
well, to the law of attraction thing, I'll touch on it now, then I'll go right into the answer to supplements. So Napoleon Hill was kind of the big law of attraction guy,
right? Yeah.
He turns out, and he's a fraud. So he died broke. Clement Stone was the one who kind of pulled him out of nowhere.
Oh, come on.
The book, all of the meetings that he had, completely bombed.
You're killing all the heroes.
Yeah. So Napoleon Hill completely, I think he took axiomatic ideas of like, the thing of like, I'm not knocking, like, I got to put the best foot forward. Like, that's kind of the goal of it. Like, obviously, you want to have a little bit of direction. That doesn't matter. But him meeting, he had like this romantic thing, like, oh, they're meeting in a room and having a mastermind. Like, no, Andrew Carnegie's probably having a scotch and being like, hey, Rockefeller, what do you think of this? Not like, hey, we're gonna have ourselves a mastermind here. Like, he's just having some scotch and shooting the shit. Like, it's not, it's natural. Like, just like with like today, Steve Cook might be like, hey, Bezos, what do you think of this supplier out of China? Is he pretty good? Yes, no. Like, it's not like this, this crazy cabal of ideas. Like, so Hill was a fraud.
Wow.
The whole thing.
What about Goddard? Right? You know Neville Goddard? Is Neville Goddard a fake?
I know the name, but I don't know enough about him to give an opinion. But like,
cool.
Clement Stone was the one who added structure to Hill's idea, which was basically add goals and add a structure to it.
Right. Because
Hill made a lot of money with his book and then spent it all. Then he kind of got busted for semi-Ponzi schemes. And how Clement Stone found him was Hill was selling his typewriter to try to cover rent.
Oh my God.
Clement Stone hired him at minimum wage and just kind of like, just talk to the guys here,
A copywriter selling their typewriter? Come on. It's like so tragic.
And then from Clement Stone kind of created a lot of those guys. Like Ogman Dino is kind of has his lineage back to Clement Stone. Was it Norman Vincent Peale? Like those guys can trace a lot of lineage to Clement Stone.
Hello.
Say
What's
hi.
your name?
His name's Jaden.
Hey, Jaden.
What's happening?
They're saying what's up.
Hi.
Hi.
He says hi. Thanks, buddy. You can sit here if you want. Okay, cool. I'm coming. Sorry, guys. I know that's
Oh, no worries.
so silly. So cute. You know what I mean? Then what if they have neglect issues? Don't want to do that. I'm just watching too much stuff about that. Don't want to, don't want to give them those issues. Then they grow up and they're in a cult, right? So.
Yeah.
The cult prevention starts here. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Let's start early.
What a scary thing to notice in someone. Like I remember I was dating this girl and like she just had a cousin who at the time he just bought like a $10,000 like I'll turn your invention into $1 million sitcom or whatever. And he just gave his life savings to this guy who disappeared. Yeah, it's wild, man. It's an interesting world. Like it's on that intersection. So that's why I like finding those lines of like, where does it go? And I feel like that's a major one is like qualifying and, just being like, I want to help someone with this, not just take anyone's money. And I don't care if you're in another class in 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
But sorry, I cut you guys off.
What I was asking was like I was talking about Starting Strength, which is such a simple program. It's not complicated. Focuses on the basics, makes you strong. If you can't gain weight, just follow GoMad diet and just get your calories up. But I'm saying, how can we apply that to, like, let's say business? Like what's like the Starting Strength book or books or any other resources that you recommend for people who are maybe new to online marketing? I feel like with this pandemic, lots of established entrepreneurs also like lost, right? They don't even know.
Yeah, and everything's going e-commerce. It looks like there's big money here, even in smaller ways. Like you think of even some of the clients we're talking to, like it totally looks responsible what I'm doing here.
Well, that's a tough question. And one, the hard answer is, because I think, if we're tying it to the point of COVID, it's kind of a tough answer, because the one thing about Starting Strength is it goes so much more beyond in the book. And that's the reason why it works so well. I know a lot of people are like, you think it's the one theory of all. Like, no, it's a thing. It's one of the few things that works really, really well, because they have, the coach become a Starting Strength coach is excruciatingly difficult, right? It takes years to do it. So the programming you are getting, like everyone thinks it's just sets of 5 by 3. Once you get in front of a coach, you realize how different that is. Like they're looking at your body composition, they're looking at the length of this, they're looking at everything. So their thing is, even though the founder of Starting Strength, Mark Rippetoe, seems dogmatic on the surface, I can completely understand that. When you dig into it, yes, it's simple, but they keep the coaches and the clients, like the product keeps getting innovated and keeps improving.
Wow.
So it's difficult to become a coach. They're trying to improve their online coaching, because the one downside of Starting Strength, it's really hard to do on your own. because you're not going to get a cue like your squat stance might be getting a little bit wider, right? Wow. So it's hard to notice that on yourself. So obviously having that coach there to tell you the very simple thing of like, you slide your foot back in a little bit, that it makes a huge difference. So the point of what I'm making here is starting strength is very much, and I think this is where a lot of products succeed, are very much product forward. They're constantly looking to improve their product and also bolster, when they know that something works, bolster what works. Now, it's not to say like don't market, right? And I think there's an issue. I think too many people today, from gurus and also a lot of the marketing books, it's like, oh, we're going to innovate. We got to disrupt. Innovation is so incredibly rare. Like, I mean, the automobile really hasn't innovated because it works for, like, it'd be great. What we need innovation now is probably like electric charging stations that don't take 24 hours. Like something that takes 5 minutes would be vastly more innovative. And they're working on that. So something that's like a wild innovation, I think people are putting too much trouble in that. But what I am saying is, if you focus really on having a fantastic product, a lot of the marketing will take care of itself.
Yes.
Now, coming to the marketing, right? So something like Starting Strength, like they don't really do a ton of marketing. They have a podcast, but it's kind of more word of mouth. And also it helps too that, Rip is kind of, or Mark Ripperto, his nickname's Rip, that he's kind of such a bombastic figure.
Right.
He's got comments from the haters and he just speaks his mind, so he kind of has this very brash sense of himself, which is great because that's a personality he's polarizing in a very good way.
Yeah.
Obviously that doesn't, tie into everybody, but, so if you're constantly working on your product in a way to make it great, or I mean, obviously some products like if you make if you make some some Swiss made pen or something, and it's probably not much, whole lot's gonna be better, other than you can probably try to figure out how you improve your distribution channels, how to get it to your customer faster, how to get in touch with your customer better, how to kind of keep things, so you kind of like Duke Cannon. Like they don't email you every day. I mean, they're selling soap. They don't, they email just about once a week with something humorous. But they're not hard selling. So on the marketing side of things, and this is where I come back why I think ethical and forthright marketing or copywriting works. It's figuring out the marketing that best enables that product especially from how the buyer sees it to the entire user experience to the end. Is my distribution channel, can I improve that? Is this better? Now on the marketing side, because I think marketing is very important, but everyone thinks you got to question growth a little bit. I mean, obviously right now COVID needs growth, but people are adapting. Restaurants are figuring out a better delivery system. How can I get the food there much better? How can I get repeat customers to come in here? Like Denver became a foodie city, and it's kind of sad to see that COVID, like a lot of these restaurants are gone.
Wow, yeah.
But some of them are somehow managing, but they have pretty good, like they've upped their game on Instagram, they've upped their game on their landing page, they've upped their game, like, hey, we're gonna get this food to you in 30 minutes. Like they are figuring out ways. So the marketing side comes into how can I enable the product in the best possible way? And that's why I don't think you need this hyper salesmanship, this hyper sales, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we're gonna, in this crazy story, we found 6 secrets. Like if you look how Claude Hopkins, like his ads are almost elegant, but he's so forceful in what he's saying. Like if you go back to and even Ogilvy, he isn't like, if you are wondering, it's like, here's the mistake I fixed. Like just confidence. Yeah. So on the marketing end of people are handling, so on the e-commerce side, especially now more so than ever, it's figuring out how can I best get my distribution channel. And then obviously for some businesses, not every business, how can I get repeat customers in the best possible way? So I think it's coming out with the most direct content that sticks. Some of it's not going to stick, some of it is, and then what sticks, why does it stick? And kind of see what kind of builds from there. I mean, I know that sounds like a vague sort of answer, but you don't need to have this entire marketing money pit thing, because if your product is really good, people are going to come back. So how can you enable that? That product. I mean, I know that that's a little bit of a, kind of the, vague answer. It's hard to be tangible. I mean, you can get tangible, but it depends a little bit on the business model.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense though. It is, a lot of people have a bit of a following. So it's a matter of like writing a good piece of content that even kind of activates them. Like there's a lot of businesses that will have like 500,000 subscribers and they're just like, what do I do? Do I advertise to new people? And a lot of what we're seeing is that those people, they'll come back in and they'll buy another thing or whatever, they just have to be given the right piece of content, I guess, So.
Right. And I think there's an issue of like some people are trying to I'm going to email daily and blast them out and sell them this new product. Like you don't need to be doing that. Like we kind of, someone who in the same vein of Mark Manson is look at James Clear. Like he has products to sell, but he has his simple blog and he's just trying to make that better. Another example of this is a guy named Scott Young who sells, kind of like learning courses. He doesn't release them all the time. He's working, his writing is getting better. He does video things. He experiments with podcasts and other things. So it's kind of a matter of finding your most direct voice. It doesn't have to necessarily be a personality. Like we'll go back to Duke Cannon again, or even Halo Top. Like they don't really interact that much outside of their Instagram posts. But something about the aesthetics of their Instagram posts feels like a connection.
Yeah, Sam Ovens brags about that. He's like, no social media. I don't have it.
You don't necessarily. I mean, like Mark Manson is primarily on his blog. Like, obviously, it's going to be different for different people. Like, I know, like recently, I rejoined social media. I got on Twitter for the first time, and I found a footing on Twitter without doing any sort of like Twitter courses of get followers. Like my articles got passed around. Like I still barely know. Like I'm like, how do I put a picture in it again? Like Instagram, I don't really know. So I'm just kind of like, I just mess around on Instagram.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
like that's the thing. Like you don't like, it's being willing to kind of figuring out the kind of content that feels authentic to you, that you can bring people in. And I mean, obviously like a car business doesn't probably need to have a vlog, but they could probably have something with car reviews, or something like that. It all depends. But, there is something to not trying to like do this hyper salesmanship or fit into this formula. There is something to kind of like dripping out kind of content that you feel like, I think this is good content. I like it. Okay, it didn't quite connect. Let me try a little bit of a different angle that I like, if that makes sense. So I think too many people are complicating these. Right. I need this particular sales formula to get this. Why it's like, maybe you don't. Like these gurus, like if they stopped selling, like their products would stink. Like no one would come back to them. Whereas something like, maybe Tony Robbins. Like Tony Robbins probably could stop selling and people would still buy stuff. I think you don't need him a ton, but there's no doubt the guy on stage is an incredible speaker.
Yeah. Someone told us they went to the weekend and it sounded like a blast, but it sounded like
he is a pro on stage. Yeah. I mean, he's a legend.
Wow.
But yeah, I've been to his event.
Oh, you've been too, right? Wow.
Yeah. I did the firewalk.
Oh, the firewalk.
Nice.
You went to the big king. You went to the big guru, top guru.
Yeah, really. The guru number one.
You're trained with the number one guru.
I know.
That's our sales point. We have a comedian, and then this guy went to Tony Robbins weekend. So we're talking inspiration.
But yeah, I think someone like like Scott Young, like coming back kind of more the info product realm, like he rarely sells his stuff. He makes a great living of what he's doing. Or even in a sense like Ramit Sethi has good courses. on social media, I'll say like his pathological hysteria against Republicans, I find a little distasteful. It's like,
I didn't know he had that. Why did he has that? He hates Republicans.
I mean, that's how it's seen. I mean, if he doesn't, like, no matter your politics, it's like, geez, like next up he's
so conservative. I remember years ago
he is not. But someone like him, I do like that he's unapologetic with his voice.
Yeah.
He's kind of runs a marketing machine, but his products are pretty good. And he's not hammering them all the time. He mentions like his email marketing is pretty good. I think it's a little bit humble braggy in the emails, but on the whole, Ramit knows what he's doing, and I think he does a good job. So I think there's something to. What's that?
That might be a move. That might just be his move. That might be his like, hey man, nothing's beating the traffic. Like I'm getting conversions from this anti-Trump stuff. So
it could be. He definitely on Twitter, people are like shocked. Like
he's so conservative, dude. Years ago, he had this sales thing, and he was talking about how like I can help anyone. You could do it, whatever. Unless you're a writer, don't call me and say you're a writer, idiot. Do a real job, and then I can help you. It was like that. I was like, damn, dude, what is this guy? Like, he was mad about it.
But I think, there is something coming to that, coming back to finish, like on the content, like, working on your unapologetic voice and figuring out a way that works with you. Like you guys here doing a podcast, figuring out that what works for you and being willing to open-minded, not being like, I must do a formula. Like when I first started this, people were like, you must start a podcast. And I was like, I can't, what? Like you should start a vlog. You'd be great on camera. So I'm like, no, I'm just going to write like long articles. And people are like, long articles? You need to write like 200 words. Like, no, my things are going to be like I'm amazed that Anand read them and probably just finished it. They're like 50,000 words.
There's a market. There's always a market, man. Everyone thinks it's all
what works.
Yeah. There's a market for everything. It's so fragmented. Nobody knows. And everyone has this weird thing of like, make it a minute. Like comedy people, they're like, oh, you got to go 30 seconds now. You're like, 30 seconds? Too long. No one listens for more than 2.5 seconds. You got to go 2.5. It's like, hey, Joe Rogan's doing 3.5 hours. It's fine.
Right. I think if it's good, like that's why that's the one thing, I think that's a great lesson from like Nassim Taleb's books, or you just got to go and figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these formulas, like there's obviously something to learning some types of formulas, but you're going to learn way more on your own. And I'm not saying don't ask for help. Help is important. Mentors are very important, everything like that. But you gotta get, it's just like doing a squat. You can talk about it all you want. You gotta get under the bar and do it.
Gotta do it.
Yeah.
But, no, I think what you said really resonated with me because over the last year, I've been just focusing on my product. I don't do any marketing. Most of my customers come through referrals, like existing customers. So I got one client and then that became 2 clients. And then now I got Amish on my team and we are using his experience to improve our product even better.
You got a team in India too? You got the India team, dude.
Yeah, I got a team in India.
Philippines.
So it's been a crazy journey, but only now, since about last month, I've been doing some ads for myself, like YouTube ads. Hey, are you looking to hire an agency to do your marketing for you? So that's great, and I completely agree with you. You gotta try stuff. Like I've spent like I think $60,000-$70,000 on masterminds and courses, but
I'm glad he said spent. He usually says invested. What's the invested? Don't say you invested in a cult. Say you got scammed.
One of them was a straight up cult, though. I mean, I don't know if you heard about it, but yeah, one of them was actually a straight up cult. You may have heard of it, but it's known as. There's not one company, but it's an umbrella term called Large Group Awareness Training, LGAT.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. Just the name. Not as familiar with it, but heard of it.
It's a multi-million-dollar. Maybe billion-dollar industry.
Really? The industry is not Large Group Awareness Training. I feel like
even like so. I guess the biggest company is Landmark. I've never done Landmark education, but they're
My roommate did that.
Yeah, over $100 million. It's all, and it comes from Scientology, based on what I've read in my research.
Landmark.
Yeah, like Large Group Awareness Training is no name brand Landmark. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, but there's so many companies and same program. It's
it's sales training. I mean, that's the crazy thing. Even Keith Raniere, the guy from The Vow. So I saw like the documentary is amazing. There's like 5 documentaries, but in one of them they go, wow, this guy was like a MLM master. He knew how to recruit. And then they wanted him to go to the top. Like he could have been an owner or something. He's like, nah, I'm starting my own thing. You know, The Vow. Just start picking up girls from Hollywood, but same training. And then he made them do the training. They're all like, I got to get my blue sash. Keith's being tough on me. He's saying he can't give me a deal on next year's course. He's charging them all like $5,000 a year, $10,000 a year courses. They got to get their sashes to upgrade and stuff. But apparently it's all like the same kind of sales training that, these guys all teach.
Yeah, I have to, for whatever reason, I feel like injecting in the example. So my best friend, he just joined the millionaire club as far as his net worth, but so he has, the funny thing is, and whenever I think of like, the guru advice, all the sales training advice, he still has his 9-to-5 job. Like, and he works really hard, but he's kind of like a lone wolf at his job. And he has a very successful side consulting agency that probably probably makes him more than the 6 figures, I think, than his actual job. Right. Other than when he first started, he wrote a couple proposals. He does no marketing. He does no outreach. And he's, making a good 6 figures from this without any sort of sales scripts, any sort of marketing. It's just his results speak for himself. So I try to get all these people like, how do I get, more customers? Like Joe has never once in his life ever even asked the question. He's just like qualified people, and like every rule of like sales broken. And he's making an incredible. That he just a couple times a month. It's just something he likes to do here and there on Saturdays and Sundays. And he does a really good job. Like he puts in a lot of work, and also the other thing is that he, unlike most gurus, are like, quit college. Like Joe went to college, and did really well. I mean, I think college has issues, but there's something to it. I think like there's a perfect example of a guy, relatively young. So I mean, he's probably about close to our age, who's now has made over has over $1 million in cash in the bank. And didn't do any of these kinds of things, enjoys his life, enjoys this, no sales, like I took the Tommy Hopkins sales event, just hard work and being a person, like he did it, I'm sure he would probably do great with a little bit of, copywriting, but he doesn't have a website, nothing. It's all that's always
like that, eh? The top people, it's like, I remember for years, these like top actors, like now Tom Cruise has a website. But for a while, like if someone said, hey, here's my card, I have a website. It's like, oh, you didn't make it yet. It's like, if you made it, you don't have a website. Like, I mean, people are just like booking you. They're just like trying to reach out to you and get you to work. So it's like, why would you spend the time doing
it's the same thing with masterminds. The people who pay for masterminds are paying for access to these events. Because if you were successful, you wouldn't have to pay for it. They would call you and invite you to be part of it.
It's crazy how many of them are just buying other people's classes then. So because they have one. And then they're like, I spent $200,000, so now I need to make money. So it's a weird little.
And they also think if I'm investing in a mastermind, that means I'm sold on my product. So now I can go and sell it to other people. But
classic tactic.
It's like if I can invest in myself, then I can expect other people to invest in me. So
if you don't believe in abundance,
you know what's crazy about these masterminds? These guys talk about like I've grown, I'm the millionaire coach, and like why haven't they actually pitched people and gotten a stake, like a 5% partnership? Like if they've coached so many millionaire entrepreneurs or businesses, how much money's on the table if they didn't take like a VC kind of like, hey, I'll take 15, look, I'll pay you, like I'm gonna invest 100 because I know all of these millionaire secrets. Right? Like I know all of these million. I think this is like, will this mastermind work? Is this guy going to invest $600,000 cash in my business and take like a 13% stake? Or maybe you can do like a sliding equity kind of scale of he gets 30,000 in, and then we'll start at $200 an hour. We'll get a sliding equity scale, right? Like how much money are these guys leaving on the table? Like they talk about all of it. I think that's why most of these things are completely bogus and bust. Because if these guys are real business sharks, you know, they would have an equity stake in all of these mega $1 million businesses they've been like teaching.
It seems like they're all claiming 6-figure, 7-figure revenue, but they're all just buying each other's classes. So it's like, okay, I made 7 figures, but I spent 8 figures maybe, or 6 figures or whatever. Like high 6 figures I spent, but then I made, so they just count the revenue, but they don't count that. Like I went to that guy's class, that guy's class, that guy's class.
Yeah, most
and then
of them
all the same kids are there.
Right. And most of them have, I mean, I don't have the exact numbers. I got some of the numbers from my, a good friend, but I don't have like the exact numbers. But from what I know, like obviously these guys make money. Jason Capital obviously makes money. Craig Ballantyne makes money. But you're right. Those two guys have zero concept of overhead. Like that's toxic thinking. But maybe on a profit wise, they might be, they might be cracking 7 figures as far as sales numbers. But once you walk that back after all the overhead, like some of them might be making a comfortable 6 figures. Nothing wrong with that. But a lot of them aren't making the money that, I mean, it's obvious, but it's not like, oh, they're scams and make no money. Like Dan Locke got kicked out of that big house. Obviously he had to prove 3 times rent. Yeah. But, a lot of these guys, they're not like, if they're like net worth, like pulling in $300,000 after the tax man takes everything and overhead, that's amazing. But they're not. Yeah. Like a lot of them aren't. They're making okay money. Like they're not. They're making money.
It's the Bilzerian math, like it's all rock and roll. We're killing it. Look at these girls. We're having a great time. And then in the back, it's like 50 million. I think they're down 50 million this month, which I don't know. He could recover from it, but it sounds like he's not going to. It sounds like it was all like a nice big show.
Looks like I'm in the dark here.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's that was a great chat though, dude.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
So let people know where.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Nice. Okay.
See, that's what gurus do, right? The literal translation of guru is to bring someone from darkness to light.
Wow.
So,
and it has
I manifested that through my routine right there.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't even the flick of the light switch. That's what losers do. I just wanted to show what losers do. I manifested that through my ideal routine. I asked myself the 7 questions millionaires ask.
That's great sales copy.
I have a 7-figure mindset.
Right. I thought you were negativity thinking because I'm 9-figure now, but 7, eh? Okay.
Oh, darn it. Well, can I get your mastermind of 9-figure thinking?
Only $997.
Don't they charge like $100,000 for a year or something?
There's a mastermind like that.
There's a couple that charge that much.
$100K.
I'm like, should I, even if I had the money, would I pay for that, or would I hire like a couple employees, full-time employees,
and do your own, like just go party somewhere, like not party, but you could do a great retreat with your workers and go to an island, do some cool stuff. Like it's a weird place.
Let me tell you, from spending $400,000 in 1 year on that stuff.
Wow. So you sold it, but you bought it.
There's nothing. Well, I wasn't gonna make money online. Though I think it's kind of what I call the cash grab scheme. I think that's the uglier monster behind those things, but and I can table it with it as quickly. But I will say, there's nothing like $400. Like I could have bought a way better car, like way cooler shit.
This guy,
I could have been like, let's take me, 20 girls, and let's just go to blow it out somewhere.
I mean, you could have bought a Lamborghini. You could have made some. Yeah, exactly. And you could have sold a course on it.
There's nothing fun to show for. I mean, I'm not much of a showy guy, but it's like $400,000. There wasn't a lot of fun in that.
No, it's just like these. Dude, it's if anything, it's work. You're going to a weekend class, like these retreat classes. It's like they're disciplined. Some of them are making you.
It's all mental masturbation. It's all just some circle jerk of platitudes and boasting.
Cool, man.
So, but yeah, Jim, I think but Jim, thanks for coming on. And spending time with us. I mean, we're trying to get better ourselves. That's why we bring on experts like you to, kind of share your experience. Because we're trying to do the best and do things ethically with our customers. I think that's our unique USP, if you want to call it that. But I've read all your articles on your website. I highly recommend people. I'm gonna link it below the video. I also subscribe to The Good Word, which is your newsletter.
Wow,
awesome. So, what's the best way for people to find you?
Probably my website, jimclair.com. And then I'm fairly active on Twitter, and I think what's my handle there? It's which is Jim Clair. I think it's Find Jim Clair is my handle. But jimclair.com, CLAIR. That's how you spell the last name. That's probably the best way to kind of find me.
Awesome.
Cool, man. Thanks
for coming on. And
no, thanks. It's been an absolute. It's been a blast.
It's fun during COVID.
I like kind of the loose flow of chat. I like that much better than something super prepared.
Thanks, That's just how you like to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, buddy. Peace.